you're already going, Max, I'm already working 6,000 hours a week. You expect me to go, well, okay, well, don't, and your results will be no different. And that is really what it comes down to. See, the battle for you and I is nothing external. Of course, there is some external challenges. I'm not disregarding that, but what I'm saying is that the most valuable real estate in the world is the 6 inches between your ears. It's your mindset, right? If you say you can't, you're right. If you say you can, you're halfway there. How old are you going to be before you start to experience life like you want it? I want to tell you right now, whether you like it or not, there is a better way to do business. Hi everyone, welcome to the Business for Builders podcast. My name's Max. I'm your host. I'm the CEO here at Smith & Sons Canada, and I'm the ambitious founder of EliteBusinessAdvisory.com, coaching for contractors. It's great to be with you. Again, appreciate you if you've been a long time listener, and love your support and your feedback. And if you're a first timer checking us out, great that you could stop by. Also, feel free to drop comments and let us know how we're doing. Don't forget, get across to Business for Builders VIP, good community, some good conversation over there, ask some questions, and really try and move the needle on some positivity in the construction and contracting world. Don't forget, one of these drops every week. So like and subscribe, all that kind of awesomeness and stuff. And I think that's about the long and the short. Don't forget, if you want to chat with me about contracting, coaching for contractors, get across to EliteBusinessAdvisory.com, hit the book a consultation button, and I will drop as much value as I can into your life and your business in 30 minutes as I can. Right, steak and potatoes time, as we like to do. I'm going to make this one a pretty short and sharp one for real, because it's got a couple of things that, a couple of items that I'm going to talk about that mean a lot to me, especially, personally in my own business development side of things, but also, as far as rolling it out to franchised operators in Smithies and also EBA clients. Okay, today I'm going to talk to you about education, execution, and transformation. So my role as a business coach is to bring awareness, is to provide education and also accountability as it relates to activity. Okay, so, really what it comes down to is once we've got that aha moment where you figured out that, maybe there's a few things that I don't really know about business. And, in this day and age, it's so easy to get information. I mean, between AI, YouTube videos like you're watching, podcasts like you're listening to, or both, there's no shortage. I mean, it's definitely more common today than what it was back in the day. Let's talk 10, 20 years ago. And so you can really get yourself some good head knowledge, okay? And so education, it's key it's key to get you to that transformative state, because that if the more I learn, the more that I earn. Now, what really is the bridge over troubled waters between the education and transformation is what, people? It's execution. Okay, Gary Vaynerchuk says, ideas are shit, execution is the game, and it is. However, what's going to help us in making better decisions and helping us with problem solving in our daily lives as business owners and personal is that understanding about, what do we need to do better? What do I need to improve? Now, that then brings you on, because you can get education about something, you can go and execute in line with that, and it not be in the right, really, it's unnecessary, it's down the wrong track, or it's in the wrong direction. And that's what we talk about accountability. In one of the recent podcasts, I think I talked about, if we want autonomy, then you need to mix those systems and recruitment and accountability. They're the three things if you want to create autonomy within your business as far as your human resource or your team members. And so, in between education and transformation, execution is obviously the game. Ideas are shit. Execution is the game. Obviously, any type now, it depends on you as the individual. There's some types of education. So you can get formal, you can have self-education, you can have mentorship, you can do all the above. Okay, it comes down to, are you a practical learning style or are you purely academic? It's going to come down to a mixture of influence and DNA and, of course, what you love to do. I would say that I'm a very visual learner. I think being an apprentice, the best thing the old man ever did was pull me out of school and chuck me into a technical college. And then out of that, I was able to pick up an apprenticeship as a carpenter. And so really my formative years between the ages of 16 and 20 were really around watching other people doing it, getting yelled at because you didn't do it very well or very quickly, and get tired of getting yelled at and just get better and get faster. And so that was always the case of you would just try and do it and you'd feel clumsy, but you would slowly refine that. But it takes a bit of stickability to make that happen as well. Obviously, an understanding around education that it's lifelong. Really learning is just a continual part of our existence. I wake up every day and the first thing I really think about is, after I've thought about bank accounts, et cetera, and checked all that out, is like, what am I going to learn today? Because, it's just a case of there's always something else coming down the pipe that I haven't experienced before, and I think it's good. Sometimes I would say to people, when was the last, especially when you're sort of in that comfort zone, I was like, when was the last time you did something for the first time? For me, where I exist in the business sector, I just know there's going to be something in amongst those three operations or, corporations that I oversee. There's always going to be something that's going to kind of catch me by surprise. So always, have that desire and that hunger to be learning. And more often than not just, well, I've just read a book and so I learned something. It's like, possibly the caveat needs to be, what am I going to cock up today that I'm going to learn from? Let's do that. And I think if we are practical learners, then you will start to, there is nothing better than a failure to ram it into your head and my head where I need to do better. Like, I don't know, I could pull out all kinds of stuff. I remember maybe when I was framing, and instead of, like nailing off junctions between an interior wall and an exterior wall, like, why did I nail the middle of that? Now I've got to freaking cut that nail because I didn't straighten it. I didn't check it with the straight. Like, there's just stuff that causes you pain, and there's a rework part of that drives you batshit crazy. But I am telling you, that pain is what makes you smarter, because you can do better. You just kind of didn't get it right then. And so you need to fall in love with this process of taking 3 steps forward and maybe 1 or 2 steps back, taking 3 steps forward. That pain is what's going to make you overall a lot better. If you play it safe, you might only take 1 step forward and you'll take less steps in the same amount of time. That's not what we want. If you're a high performer, then you're going to want to kick doors in and make it happen. And so, if you fall in love with that process and you start to understand the power of failing forward versus I just want to, my shit doesn't stink and I don't want to be somebody that makes mistakes. Well, you might as well set up camp in Losersville, because it doesn't work that way. That's going to get a few comments. All right. Right. So from then education to execution. So action's crucial. Knowledge without execution is ineffective. I mean, really we got to understand that we want to be a calculated executor. We really want to make sure that we've got the basic understanding of what we're trying to do. Let's go and start to do it. We want to bridge the gap between learning and doing. And of course, action plans is what it's all about. As a business coach, it's like I often talk about action plans. What's the action plan? Because we really got to take action. If we don't, nothing happens. But we've got to acknowledge the fear of new things as well. I understand from a guy that's moved his family, wife and 6 kids around the world at age 42, that wasn't really something that the average punter would go and do. And so, that really was something that I feared for a couple of years, but then we just made the decision to make the move. And of course, here we are. Now, that's the resilient nature of somebody who enjoys the pioneering process. And the pioneering process is a nice way of saying failing forward, taking 3 steps forward and 2 steps one. I love history, and how that the west coast of the States, and probably has a very similar story here in Canada, how that was discovered and pioneered. Obviously, the pioneering stories from Australia is very similar. And so there is something about that pioneering DNA that I enjoy, and maybe that's why I do what I do, because I don't really wait for acceptance or for green lights. I kind of just get after it, and that comes with a little bit of failure that's really not pleasant, but it's out of that continuous improvement, always looking to make things better. In the execution process is definitely where the dividend is paid back to you. And of course, we've got to really emphasize in our own thought process that, execution is not something that's done when it's convenient or every so often. We've got to set the plan and work the plan. And that's really what it comes down to really make sure that our execution is on point. And then the byproduct or the knock-on effect, and this is what is super subtle, and I would hesitate to put this into a goal framework, is the transformation, the transformative nature. It has to be the natural byproduct. Now, I talk to my kids a lot. I've got one of my kids. He's on the road. He's going up north for a couple of hours drive. And I said, mate, good decisions. And he knows what I'm talking about. Bad decisions, bad consequences. Good decisions, good consequences. So if you educate yourself and you are in the right areas, of course, and you are really undertaking high-level execution that's consistent, the natural byproduct should be a positive, transformative experience, okay? So change is necessary for transformation. Old habits need to be either disregarded or really kicked to the curb, or they need to evolve. We just need to, polish them up and really point them in the right direction. Transformation, extra effort beyond the usual is required for real progress. And so, I read a book once, can't remember what it was called, but the author mentioned that, your success lies outside your comfort zone. So we're talking about, that extra effort, which is above and beyond. You're already going, Max, I'm already working 6,000 hours a week. You expect me to go, well, okay, well, don't, and your results will be no different. And that is really what it comes down to. See, the battle for you and I is nothing external. Of course, there is some external challenges. I'm not disregarding that, but what I'm saying is that the most valuable real estate in the world is the 6 inches between your ears. It's your mindset, right? If you say you can't, you're right. If you say you can, you're halfway there, okay? And so, for me, it's that defeatist mindset, negative, below the line, or am I going to be an above the line, more optimistic? Because I'm telling you, the emotional the emotional difference between those two levels is unbelievable. One is a motivator, the other one is just devastatingly negative, and it's never going to do anything. You are literally just going to sit there and eat more worms. Oh, life sucks. Okay, great. So it sounds really basic, but the challenge is actually getting out of your comfort zone and pushing through that barrier of pain and making yourself, hey, I'm gonna read something, I'm gonna listen to something, I'm gonna get better, and not try and do it in massive leaps and bounds. I'm not a weight loss professional by any stretch. I actually don't like going to the gym. I've tried, but that's a barrier that I've got to figure out for me how I'm going to break through that. So in business, I don't mind wrestling and continuing to try to build business. I never get fatigued from doing that. There's high-level frustrations and things that make me cranky, 1,000%. But I seem to wake up in the morning and just run straight back into it. I've got clients, shout out to my old mate, Scotty in Calgary. He loves going to the gym and he keeps beating me up about doing it. And I'm like, mate, I'm not doing it, But there's people that I coach or I've coached in the past where I've talked to them about business and you can just tell they're not getting fired up about it. They just don't want anything to do with it. They're like, I'm not doing that. And so this is why, for some of us, business success may come or look to come a lot easier. Whereas, you might say, well, I don't know how he does it, but it just, for whatever reason, it works for him, but doesn't work for me. Let's keep pushing the boundaries, right? I just think that, for the guy I did my apprenticeship with, for him to go for building bridges at Sanctuary Cove on the Gold Coast, before I'd met him, and that was probably in 86, 87. And then, when I met him in 89, he was just starting to build some homes on the Gold Coast, 3-bedders, 2-bathroom, or maybe a 3-bedder, 1-bathroom. It was a 2-way. And he was doing that in partnership with an LJ Hooker real estate agent down there. And, we would drive to the Goldie from Brisbane all the time just to build these shit boxes. And then I watched the transition, and then we started, and obviously what he was doing, he confided in me before. He said, I could not wait to get out of retail-facing business because I freaking hate it. I just wanted to do my own developments. And then you fast forward, and he's, building high-rises on the Gold Coast and stuff now. So, there's this transformative nature that comes from learning and dedication to the outcome and the goal. And, so really it's, you've got to figure out what you want. The last episode, we talked about a little about goal setting. You got to figure out and really defining of the importance of personal goals, business goals. Essentially, business goals are very much metrics bound, and of course, personal goals are very emotional. And they're why? What do I want to change about my lifestyle? If you're not got what you want, get better. That's what I would say. And so, really, I think practical tips for putting this education, execution, and transformation thing together is start small and take manageable steps, right? Don't kind of bite off more than you can chew. I know when I had a personal trainer, she wasn't giving me a whole bunch of weight to push. I think she was just starting small, just to get technique right. That's what I would say. Same thing. Get your technique right. Always commit to daily improvement. Like I was saying a second ago, today, what are you going to learn from this day? Odds on is it's going to come from an error, but that's okay because that's what I do. And I know there's a lot of other business people in my, my sphere of influence or my network that have got the same story. It's not anything that's, there's no myth around that. And then obviously set clear goals and then find accountability. And like I said at the beginning of the show, accountability is a big part of what I do as a business coach because it really brings that all together. It's one thing to get, awareness. It's another thing to get education. But to execute, sometimes you need a coach. And I think of some of the high performing athletes, in the sports world, whether it's motorsport or whether it's basketball or football, everyone needs a coach because of that accountability. If it's left to me, you have a tendency to just go, I'll do that tomorrow. I'll do that next week. You haven't got someone. And you know what? I think a lot of the time that motivates is when I'm meeting with clients or contractors, there is that level of accountability that's super uncomfortable. Like, I know Max is going to, I just started a new client and he sent me an email and he said, I'll be ready for the scolding, in an email. And it's like, there's no scolding. It's just, we're just going to talk about, certain areas within your business. And you tell me, I'm standing on the sideline as a coach. You've got to execute. And if you don't get the result that you didn't expect to get, then we've got to look at the activity. So if the transformation, you didn't hit that level, it's like, well, did we do in the execution that maybe really brought us down, and we didn't get the result that we wanted to. And that's just business. Business is an infinite game, guys and gals. If you're not the best this year, whoop-de-doo, do better next year and become the best. The wealthiest man or woman in the world doesn't sit up there forever. It's a fleeting moment. Someone else will knock them off the perch. It's just the game. There's just humanity in business and the way it goes. So really, take control of your future. Don't think it's going to happen automatically. Remember, I say if you've got a business by default, okay, it's probably going to be a business that's absolutely chock-a-block, we'd say in Australia, absolutely full of chaos. And the reason you've got chaos is because chaos is a byproduct of disorder. What we want to do is move you into the control phase. And essentially what we've got in there is systems, and we've got very much, control is a byproduct of order. And so, you need to be orderly in your thinking. You need to be orderly and organized in your operations, in your communication, in your financial administration, all of these aspects of your life personally and from a business standpoint. We never ever have things nailed down perfectly, set and forget, good to go forever, because shit changes, whether it's externally technology or whether you as an individual starts to mature and really understand things at a higher level. The transformation is not something where you just reach that destination. It's a moving target, guys and girls. So don't forget, get across elitebusinessadvisory.com. If you want to chat with me, hit the book a consultation button. Got a couple more spots left for coaching clients. If you want to get across to Business for Builders VIP, answer the questions. It's a little bit of a roadblock there to make sure that we don't have any knuckleheads inside that group. Thank you very much. And make sure you answer the questions if you're a good sort. I'll let you in. Get in there, ask some questions, start talking to builders. Let's move the needle in a positive direction as it relates to the failure rate. Don't forget, like and subscribe. One of these drops every week. Thanks for dropping by. Go build a kick-ass business. See you in the next episode. Cheers.